Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Just a Discord Chat with. And I'm really happy because I'm just doing the third episode today, and I'm talking to someone today that's been pretty high on my list. It's Racy. So welcome, Racy.
Hi, hi everyone.
And can you pronounce? How do you pronounce your name, by the way?
My real name.
Yeah, your real name. Yeah.
In English or in Hungarian, you mean? Like the original Hungarian version, you
Yeah,
mean?
you can do that. That would be interesting.
So first of all, you have to swap the first name and last name because that's how you do it in Hungarian. That's the order: first last name and then the first name. So I'm called Birgány Adrián.
Okay.
That's my real name in Hungarian.
Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, but in English you're just Adrian, or how do you say it?
Yeah, Adrian
Yeah.
or Razy.
Yeah,
Like
Razy is good as well.
Yeah, most people call me Razy, because even in real life, I'm with Garpy most of the time, because I'm living here in the UK, very close to him, and now Zenoku is here as well, so they mostly just call me Razy or Adrian. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, I know. That's usually how it goes. It's just how it is in the esports world. We just call each other the in-game names. It's more convenient, in a way. But yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. Super happy that you wanted to do this. Um, the first thing I always ask in this episode is just in general, how's life going right now for you?
All is good. Just doing Quake mainly. Doing the weekly QPLs. Wish I was doing them better, but honestly, I've been lacking practice a lot. It is my fault. I should be focusing more on it, but I've been struggling to do so. I don't know why. I guess I was burned out a little bit, maybe. I also should be streaming more often. There are a few people that would like to see me come back and be more active on the social medias as well. At the moment, I'm kind of hitting like a roadblock with this because I have no idea why. I just can't get myself to do it. By default, I'm not really a social person in like for example, I don't really like being in the middle of the circle. I don't or the middle of attention. I I usually keep quiet, tend to myself, stuff like that. Um, and so, for example, this interview podcast kind of thing is also not one of my strongest fits, but I'll do my best. And I'm actually happy to be invited. So thank you. And I hope that whoever is watching is gonna have fun and be entertained and get to know me a little bit better because this is what it's gonna be about. It's not really gonna be like a very professional-esque thingy. It's more like a chill, friendly conversation, uh, things you might not know about me, stuff like that. Um, so I'll do my best, but bear with me, because I'm not very good at this. But yeah, things are okay. I'm at the moment in the UK because I very often go back and forth between Hungary and the UK. My girlfriend lives in Hungary, and whenever I can, I visit her and spend time with her for a few days. Mostly when I have a bye week in QPA, and then whenever I have a match, I come back and I try to prepare it for like a week or so. That's about it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't actually know that you lived in the UK. I had no
And
idea.
that's why the time zone difference.
Right, right. Because I was because prior to this interview, I was asking what time he wanted to do it, and we agreed on a time, and I just searched for Google. I was like, oh, what time zone is Hungary, and it's the same time zone as me. And then I wrote to him at 4:30 my time, and that was 3:30 for him. So I was like, holy shit, it's not the same. But
Yeah,
yeah, that explains it. Okay.
yeah.
Do you live like at Garpy's place, or do you have your own
Nope.
place?
I'm renting a place near where Garpy lives, like 20-minute drive away, by car, and then we often hang out. Now that Zenaku is here as well, we usually go to the gym together. Well, I've been lacking because, as I said, quite often I go back and forth between Hungary and the UK, so I'm not here to go with them. And whenever I'm here, like today, they went earlier, and then other times they go very late. So sometimes it's not suitable for me. but I try to go with them as much as I can, and we hang out. Sometimes Zenaku comes over to mine, for example, the other day during the 2v2 tournament. He was actually sitting right next to me because there's another PC set up by where I sit. And then he was playing it from here because Garpy was busy at home, so Zenaku couldn't have played from there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it must make it pretty cool, that you have such a close way to these guys. It's like a big a family, I suppose, a second family in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maestro family.
Yeah, but that's how it is because you do spend a lot of time together, and like that's I feel the same way with my players now, that you get so close to them after like I've only met them once, but you went through so much during those days, and like you go through, ups and downs together, and it's just like it's really strengthening for the relationship. So I'm
Yeah.
happy to hear that.
Actually, Garpy has been doing, and Maestro, and Apex as well. They have been doing a lot for me, especially in the last 2 years or so. They helped me get back on my feet. I started living in the UK. They sorted me out that way as well. They helped me with literally everything I needed, and now I'm way better than I was before. Um, Also, it is funny because now Xanaku is here. He's living at Garpy's, as I said, and we started making jokes like Garpy has like an orphanage of QPL members. He's gathering them all.
Yeah, he is. It's kind of fun to see the QPL leaderboards. Like there's so many Maestro logos everywhere. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, it
I'm
sounds like
happy
fun.
about it because the players that are in Maestro, they are actually very nice people, and I'm very good friends with all of them, and I'm very happy to be a part of this org as well. And as you said earlier, it feels like a family, and it is like we usually call it Maestro family.
Yeah, absolutely.
However, like cringe that might sound, I still, Garpy feels like an older brother to me. So I'm very happy to be a part of this organization.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, yeah. I interviewed Garpy. As you know, I interviewed Garpy. Yeah, he seemed like a really cool guy. Obviously, I've met both of you in London, but still, like it's you only meet for a few days. It's not, you don't know everything about these people. So it's always nice to hear it from other perspectives. Um, but yeah, awesome to hear that you're doing well. And I wanna I want to go back a little bit, if that's okay, like really far back, or not really far back, but like 5 years to
Okay.
2017, when Quake Champions started, or when the game was, released and they started having competitions and stuff. Uh,
hmm
because I, what background do you come from? Because I know that you used to play Counter Strike, you used to play
Yes.
Global Offensive and Source. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, not
Exactly.
not 1.6.
Never competitively. No.
No, okay. Was that the first game that you played competitively, or do you have an Arena FPS background, or was Quake the first Arena FPS that you started playing?
I have told this story a few times already here and there, so some people might already know this. But my story is, um, I started playing computer games very early. Like literally, I figured out how to use the mouse before I even learned how to write. So even though I'm left-handed, I still use the mouse with the right hand, and I would not be able to use it the other way around. But say yeah, so one of the first games I played was Quake 3 Arena when I was very little, and well, I really liked it. It was just fun to go through the campaign of it and try to beat it on higher and higher difficulties. Back then we didn't have internet, so it was just against bots. And at home we had two computers, so sometimes my schoolmates came over to mine, and then we hung out, played like a mini LAN with friends, just playing Quake and sometimes other games as well. But after that, I started playing Counter Strike. Um, I don't remember when I was 10, so like around, no, it was later than when I was 10. I don't know, but I played it around 2009-ish, I think. Um, and I really liked it. By then we had internet, so I played on online servers against other people, and I had a lot of fun. There were a lot of game modes to try out, so there was always something to look out for. Like for example, I love surfing in CS. if you know what that is. It is very chill. I just love doing it. I'm not professional level on it in it, but I'm very good. Like I can complete quite hard maps as well, and it's always a nice challenge to get myself to try to learn a map and then complete it, and then try to improve on my time on it and all that. Because it's a game mode. Whoever doesn't know, it's a game mode about trying to get from A to B as fast as possible on a certain map. And it's called surfing because there are like slide platforms that like you slide on the side of. So it is fun because you can listen to music, you can stream it, talk to people. Meanwhile, it's very chill, you know. So whenever I felt like not wanting to shoot at other people, I went on and surfed. And then because I was playing a lot of CS, I thought I wanna get good at it, improve, and I started gathering friends. We made teams, clans, whatever, and then started practicing and playing against other people. Participated in tournaments and stuff like that, like qualifiers. And then the very first CS LAN that I was on was in 2010, and by then many people in the Hungarian scene was aware of my existence because I was very young and I was good, like no ego or anything, but I was good at the game. And many current top Hungarian players were like too salty to admit that I'm actually good and not cheating. Because so they just started picking on me. Oh, like you're so young, your voice is like a girl's, and I don't know, like, you know, they just started picking on me. Even though I was never rude to anyone, I was always respectful towards others, and I just played the game to my best abilities. Um, so, um, you know, the first time I was on a LAN was in 2010 for Counter-Strike Source, and then I proved myself. I was actually doing as well as online prior to that event. And so some of the not that salty Hungarian players were like, if he is actually good, we might actually want to recruit him so that he's going to play for us and then we'll be stronger and stuff like that. So we formed a new team, and then from then on, we were the best Hungarian team up until Counter-Strike Source died out, and then we swapped to the newer version, which was the Global Offensive, and I kept on competing for a few years. But the problem was I always stuck to the Hungarian scene, but the Hungarian scene was very little, like player base wise, um, and most of them weren't very good. And the ones that were good, uh, their mentality wasn't the right mindset for professional level. So what I mean by that is they never really cared to practice and put time and effort into the game enough to get to the level where you could make money from it and live from it. And even when we had very good results, it didn't really last. Even though we were really good at the game, we needed to be more consistent. But long term, it never worked out because the first time we had a failure, all of a sudden everything collapsed, and then people started pointing at each other, saying, "Oh, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. Oh, we need to get rid of you. Oh, there's another guy. We could replace this guy with him, and then it's gonna be all good again." So it was always like, you know, people changing lineups and having arguments. It was very toxic. Everyone thought that they were the best and it's always someone else's fault. So we could never get from 1 to 2, you know. And I never really tried to go out from the Hungarian scene because my dream was to make a top tier Hungarian team, you know, to represent my country. But the problem was it was just not doable because the people that were in the right mindset were not skillful enough, and the skillful ones were just too toxic to work with. Um, so yeah, I tried for like a decade. Um, well, not a decade, but I put quite a lot of years into it, a lot of time, a lot of effort. And meanwhile, I was also struggling in real life because the continuous failures caused me to be stressed all the time and depressed. And I was also like a teenager growing up, so like a lot of things were like happening at the time, even at home, at school, and I couldn't succeed in what I wanted to. So, I kept trying, but it never worked. But then eventually, in 2017, when Quake Champions came out, I tried myself in it. But for that to be like um, at the time, I was also in a team in CS:GO, and I was saying to myself, okay, I'll try myself in this game because here it is 1v1. I don't depend on others to be successful. So if I'm good enough, I can be successful. I'll have good results. Uh, so I'll just put like a few months work into Quake to see if I can make it work. And my goal was, if I get to qualify to the World Championships, I'll leave CS behind. If I can't, at least I tried, and now I know that I'm just not good enough in Quake to make a living out of it. And I'll stick to CS and I'll keep trying. And maybe if I'm just, not giving up for long enough, it will actually eventually happen that I'll have good results and get to the pro level in CS. But I did qualify to Quake World Championships that year. So I started focusing solely on Quake, and I left CS behind, and I never really looked back. I still have some friends that I sometimes talk to from old times, but I'm not really following the CS competitive scene, and I haven't tried competing in it since. And it's not that I have regrets about it, but I do miss it because, whenever in Quake, when I play team modes competitively, it is a lot of fun. For example, the other day when I played with Maxer, the 2v2s, it was fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I had a lot of fun. We worked well together because now I was actually playing with someone, uh, unless in like um, contrary to CS, where my teammate was willing to take it seriously and have the right mindset. And even when we were losing, he wasn't raging, he wasn't blaming it on me, he didn't collapse mentally. We just kept on going and trying, and in the end we succeeded. So I'm actually very pleasantly surprised how well we did with Maxter. And it's the same when I play with Wenger, or back when we were playing Sacrifice, or there was this one time 3v3 capture the flag tournament. So like I enjoy team modes a lot, and I like the teamwork aspect of the competitive games, you know. Um, but I'm very happy that Duel was here for me when I needed it, because otherwise I don't really know what I would have been able to do back in CS. There are a few parts that I missed out when I was telling the story. So, for example, the very first LAN event that I was at was when I was 10 years old. It was a Quake 3 Arena event in Hungary, organized by a newspaper that is solely focusing on video games. It's called GameStar, or it was called GameStar. I don't know if it still exists or not. Um, Point is, my dad brought me there, and it was Quake 3 Arena, like a LAN environment. I played against other people that I have not been able to ever before, because back then we didn't have internet. So that was the first time I actually got to play against other people. It was like a brand new experience, and I fell in love with that whole environment, that everything, the adrenaline rush, that it's not against bots, like experience how other people play the game. I was very bad at the game back then, of course. I was only 10 years old, but I had a lot of fun. So um, that was my first ever experience, like LAN experience. Um, and I wanted to keep doing stuff like that. So that's why I started competing in CS, hoping that I'll experience the same things and I'll get better and better. And that's around the time when esports was getting bigger and bigger, and then you could make a living out of it. And I decided that that's what I want to do. Um, and in CS, many times we were actually very, very close to break out from the semi-pro level into the professional level, and actually win money, get an org behind us, have salary, be professional players, be more popular, have good results, stuff like that. But for some reason, it never happened. Like we were so many times so close to it. Like in CS, you have to get 16 points in order to win a map. So most of the time, we were so close that we lost 14 to 16, or in overtime, uh, or if it was a best of 3, we lost 1-2, stuff like that. Whenever like we were like one match or one map away from qualifying to like a very big event, or to uh, win prize money and stuff like that. So like we tried numerous times over the years, over and over again. Like we attended the minor qualifier in Cologne. I don't remember the year, sometime around 2015, I think. And we were like 1 or 2 maps away from qualifying to the major, stuff like that. So yeah, a lot of the times it was really hard for me after such well, I wouldn't say failures, because we didn't really fail. We were just barely not successful. But like so many times it happened, and it was really, really hard for me to, after those occasions, stand back up on my feet again. It was mentally insanely straining, hard, difficult. It's just, I can't even word it. Like whenever you want something so bad and it's like within arm's reach, but then all of a sudden you just barely can't reach it. Like your the tip of your finger can like touch it barely, but you just can't grab it. It's like, and so many times it was tough. So I cannot tell you how relieved I was when I managed to qualify to the Quake World Championships in 2017. Because then all of a sudden I was like, finally, I reached that goal. And now I get to do what I want for a living, and I can keep at it. And from now on, it's all up to me how well I do. I cannot blame it on others. Not that I would. I don't really do that. I mostly blame myself anyway. Um, but the point is, it was all up to me from that point onwards. I didn't depend on anyone else. I just had to be good at what I'm doing. And so I was grinding the game a lot. I learned it because even though I played Quake Live quite a lot, I never competed in it. And back then it was more of a hobby alongside CS. So whenever I felt burnt out of CS, I hopped onto Quake Live back when there was the launcher for it. It was called QL Prism, I think. QL Prism, something like that. There was a launcher for Quake Live when it was no longer in the web browser. Anyway, I played it quite a lot actually, but I was never really that good in it. I was decent. I had around 2,000 elo on average, I think, but I never really played against top tier players. It was mostly around on that level, and so I played it a lot. I was very familiar with it because I had prior knowledge from Quake 3 Arena, but I was never a competitive player in it. I played a shit ton of duels, but never with an approach of, oh, I want to get better at it. I just played it for fun, and I still tried to win and be good at it, but I was aware that this is not my main focus at the moment. It's just a hobby. But yeah, so coming to Quake Champions, and that's like what my point is actually gonna be about. Coming to Quake Champions, many people didn't know me because I was a no-name, a newcomer. But I did have a Quake background, so it wasn't like brand new to me. It was just like abilities, certain character movements, stuff like that I had to relearn, but not relearn, but to learn and polish and all that. But it was not brand new to me, so it's not like, oh, that was my first ever time playing Quake. Because no, I have a Quake background, like I explained earlier. But I was still like a very very much a beginner at it, so it took me quite a long time to get to a level where I felt more comfortable. Like I had a wide enough champion pool. I was more comfortable on most maps than before. I didn't really have like that many weak points anymore. Because even during the Quake World Championships, by then I wasn't able to learn how to play Nyx, for example, and she was very much in the meta. So that was already like something that I lacked, like a handicap compared to other people that were competing. Um, but yeah, like slowly but surely, I was doing everything I could to get familiar with everything and get really good at every aspect of the game whenever it comes to whether it comes to movement or which weapons to use in which situations or what's important to do in a certain situation. Is it better to fall back, gather some gear, or should I stand my ground and deny my opponent from entering this area or whatever else? Like it was a very fun journey for me because Quake is very complex, so many aspects to it to master, and most people are not really aware of how difficult it is because all they see is, oh, you run around, you pick up weapons, you shoot at people, and if you're good enough, you'll kill them. If not, you're gonna die. But it is more complex because in order for you to kill them, there are so many things you have to think about. Uh, Whether it's like stack or abilities or positioning, and even when you have no idea about your opponent's whereabouts, you still should be able to filter out certain areas on the map based on prior information you gathered while you were running around to know, like, to have like a certain read on your opponent. And one of the things that I really like about the way I play the game is I can read people quite well, and it's not that easy to trick me and get me to fall into other people's traps. And I think that's mostly because in CS you kind of have to check every corner. So in Quake, when I'm like, I feel like the slightest of chance of him being around the corner, I always check it. So it's not that easy to trick me into running into other people's traps. I tend to play carefully and cautiously. I'm actually like that in real life as well. I really like the saying "better safe than sorry" because it is actually better to make sure of something instead of risk it and end up, you know, having issues because of it because you got punished for not, making sure. Holy shit! Why did I talk so much? You asked me one thing like 20 minutes ago. But I mean, yeah, if you wanted to know the whole story, I had to tell the whole story, I guess.
I love it, dude. It was a very insightful response. I love it. I was just sitting in awe all the time. I have a few things to say though. Uh, the first thing I just wanted to say is that I also come from Counter-Strike. I
Hmm.
lived and breathed Counter-Strike before I started with Quake. And I actually, because you when you played Counter-Strike, you went by a different name, No Fear. Uh,
Yes.
and I knew who you were back then because I was interested in all the local scenes and like you know, you kind of touched on it, but yeah, you did play on a pretty high level. So sometimes you could HLTV, the website.
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
HLTV, for those who don't know, is the biggest Counter-Strike website in the world. It A lot of coverage for everything. And I knew who Racy was when he played under No Fear. I knew who he was. I mean, I recognized the name. So when I came to the Quake scene, I had no idea that you had, transferred to the scene and changed name to Racy. So it was a cool thing for me to just see because when you go to Wikipedia, if you go to your profile, you can actually see that you have a profile on the Counter-Strike wiki as well. And that was a huge, like, that was a crazy moment for me. I just wanted to say that. Um, just so you know, like I actually knew who you were before you started with Quake. But yeah, very very interesting. I feel like Counter Strike is sort of a love and hate relationship because the team aspect of it can be so insanely awesome. It can be like so rewarding when you win together with your team and so on, like you said. Um, but it can also be hard to reach what you want because you might not have the common goal. Someone might bring you down, whatever. So but one thing I thought was also interesting is that, like you check every corner and stuff, it's very hard to trick you. And that would somehow come from Counter-Strike. Do you think that
Yes.
coming from a Counter-Strike background, which is, I don't think I'm not aware that any other pro in Quake right now comes from a Counter-Strike background. I know Garpy used to play Source way, way back, but I'm not aware of anyone else. But anyway, what I wanted to say is that do you think that's been helping you in your Quake career, like the, coming from, coming from Counter Strike and as opposed to coming from a different arena FPS, which like most people come from Quake 4 or Quake 3, you know.
It certainly helps in many ways. One of the things that I also should point out is checking corners. You don't actually have to check every corner because I mentioned this earlier, but you can kind of filter out certain areas of the map where your opponent can definitely not be at. Because otherwise, if he was there, you should be aware of it, either by a sound cue or you see him, or it's been such a long time that now physically he could get there even if he was walking or whatever. So like if you put all these things together, then you can read your opponent way better. Because then, for example, a lot of the times I pay so much attention to the sounds. And that's also something that I brought with myself from CS, because in CS, the smallest footstep or the smallest sound cue of a grenade hitting a wall, and then you have to all of a sudden put together in your head, oh, which kind of grenade is it? Because you can differentiate between like a HE grenade or a flashbang. So then all of a sudden you have to like put together what to expect. Even if you're not looking that way, you can hear it, and then like within like a fraction of a second, you all already know. Do I have to turn away? Is the flashbang, or do I have to like move backwards because it's a grenade that's gonna explode in my face if I don't. And stuff like that helps a lot when it comes to Quake, because in Quake, also like the smallest footstep or item pickup, you can differentiate between picking up weapons or ammo boxes or armor or health. Um, so like the smallest of sound cue you have to pay attention to in Quake in order to put together like a picture of what's going on around you. And I pay a lot of attention to that. And that also helps with my awareness of not running into traps or knowing where to look when I come around the corner. Is my opponent gonna be close to me, or is he gonna be further away? Is he gonna be behind this corner, or is he gonna hide behind that wall? You know, like putting together these things is difficult, but if you pay attention to your surroundings, uh, it is not that difficult. Because in Quake, you can hear quite far away from you, and you can hear quite accurately direction wise. And as I said, every sound cue is different, whether it's an armor pickup, a weapon pickup, ammo box pickup, whatever it is. So it is tough to pay attention to so many things because you have to look at the timer, you have to look at your stack, you have to look at your weapons, your ammunition, your ability, and everything else. And then on top of that, pay attention to sound cues and put together like a picture of everything that's happening on the map right now around you. It is really difficult. And many people are not aware of it. All they all see is that you're shooting at each other and eventually one will die, the other one will live. But so many things are happening at once in the game, especially, for example, in 2v2s. It is really difficult to have a really good awareness, but if you are good at it and you master that aspect of the game, then it helps so much with survivability and reading your opponent and getting into good positions, favorable situations, stuff like that. I also wanted to mention something regarding this, but I kind of forgot because I talked a lot. What was it? Hmm, I don't really remember. But for example, regarding sound cues, for example, going upstairs in Quake, you can do it silently if you're walking, but downwards it doesn't work because downwards every time you fall, it makes a sound, even though you're walking. So you can already filter out certain areas of the map because you would hear your opponent come from there if he was going downwards on a slope or stairs, or if there's a jump pad. So you don't really need to pay attention to those areas unless you hear a sound cue, and then all of a sudden you will know for sure, and then you have to focus your attention to that way. Um, I don't really remember if I wanted to say more about this. I think I forgot something that I wanted to mention, but let's move along. Maybe I'll remember later.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to go back to the no fear raises situation with my nicknames. It was never really meant to be like a secret. I don't mean to like hide my background. I did used to go under the name of No Fear back when I was playing Counter-Strike Source. And then when we transitioned over to Counter-Strike Global Offensive, I wanted like a fresh start just because, you know, in Source we could never really make it big. And I felt like, okay, let's try anew with a fresh start, clean sheet of paper. Let's go under a new name. And that's when I started playing under Razy. But the Hungarian scene was more or less the same still, even though like 1.6 and Source merged together. Many people still knew me as No Fear, and they kept calling me like that. So eventually, and they were like, we we know you as No Fear. We want to call you as No Fear. We don't really like that you are no longer called that. Can you go back to it? And I was like, yeah, okay, sure, why not? So I went back to No Fear, even though I was already under Razy in many tournaments and all that. So in Counter-Strike Global Offensive, even though I was already known as both Razy and No Fear, I went back to playing under No Fear, and when it came to playing in Quake Champions, I registered to it as Razy. But it wasn't really like a new nickname, it was just my other nickname that I already played under prior to Quake.
How did you come up with Racy, by the way? Just a quick follow-up question.
Well, I'll also answer this, but I also want to answer the No Fear one.
Okay.
Well, tell the No Fear story. When I was very bad at the game still in Counter-Strike Source, I went on a public Hungarian server, and there was a guy called No Fear that was playing really well. He was at the top of the scoreboard, and I got such an inspiration from him. Like I wanted to be as good as him, and I started using No Fear as well. I kind of stole it, I guess, but it was more like a like an admiration kind of thing. That I did it because he was so good. I want to be like him, kind of thing, you know. So I started playing under No Fear, and then I got good at it, and then the nickname remained. And then the Razy, it is a little bit embarrassing. My English wasn't very good when I came up with this name. Like my English was good, but it wasn't as good. So I made a mistake of misunderstanding like a battle cry in a video game. I don't know if you're aware of the game Devil May Cry. It's a series of a really good action game. Like you know beat monsters, demons up, and all that with swords and all that. Anyway, in Devil May Cry 4, the main character is called Nero, and whenever he is doing his combos and fighting and all that, he has like battle cries, and one of them was crazy. But I just heard crazy, and I really liked it the way he shouted it, and so that's why I'm crazy now.
Okay.
And now I know it's crazy, so I actually kind of made fun of myself because in my stream titles, well, not titles, but notifications that I'm going live on Twitch, it is actually called C Razy, as in crazy.
Ah, okay. Oh, makes sense now that you say it. Yeah. It's always interesting to just know how people come up with names. Some people just, mash the keyboard, and some people actually had a pretty cool story behind it, which is, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine is embarrassing.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, there is no embarrassing story to tell. I feel like because the name doesn't the name has so much meaning anyway. For now, Racy, like it's such a loaded and charged name in the scene. So, however you came up with it, I don't think like no one cares. No, I don't mean that no one cares. I mean that no one cares if it's an
I get it.
embarrassing way. Because it's just like you're still a legend. But anyway, um, so anyway, yeah, if you come up, if it comes back to your head what you wanted to say before, just stop me and you can say it, or you can like chime in somewhere. But otherwise, I'll move on. And because one thing out before this interview, I was like skimming through your results. Yeah,
I
go ahead.
actually just remembered, sorry.
Nice.
So
That's good.
now that I thought back what the original question was, you asked me whether my CS background helped me in Quake or not.
Yeah.
Now I remember what I wanted to say. It helped me in many ways outside of the game, mostly. The inside part I already said, with the awareness and how to read situations and pay attention to certain things. But outside the game, I because I was competing in CS, I attended many LAN events, so I played in person under pressure while being stressed and knowing that I have to perform well and all that. So I was more accustomed to that environment by the time I started playing Quake. And now that I'm playing Quake, people all they see is that I'm just sitting still, not making any emotions, not looking nervous, uh, stuff like that. Like I'm calm and all that. But funny thing is, I am actually very nervous. I just don't really show it. Not because I'm trying to hide it, but just because I experience it more on the inside rather than to express it outwards. And so the funny part is, I actually bought a heartbeat sensor that I sometimes use when I'm streaming, and so people can see my heart rate. And even though I look very calm, I have no expression at all, just a plain face and all that, my heart rate is at like 170. And people just look at it and like, is that accurate? It is. It is accurate. I feel like that. It is. I go under so much adrenaline and stress and anxiety and nervousness while I'm competing that yes, it goes up to 170 plus sometimes. It happened many times on stream already. And yes, when it is around that heart rate, I feel my heart pumping, like I can feel my whole body shaking at every pump, and I feel like hot inside and all that, like almost sweating and all that. So like even though I'm not running a marathon, I do feel like as if my body is not on like running on 100% capacity, because as I tried to explain earlier, Quake is very complex. It's really difficult to play uh, every aspect of it to perfection, and so it takes a toll on you. And many times that's why, even though I'm just sitting still, just playing the game, I get extremely exhausted after certain tournaments or certain matches because it takes so much out of me to have like a heart rate of 170 plus constantly for hours. It might be concerning really regarding my health. I'm not sure. I don't feel unwell. I feel actually pretty healthy, in general. Uh, but yeah, I guess it might be unusual that it goes that high. I don't know. I'm not aware of other Quakers, like how their heart rate is. They might be more calm than I am, but in general, I'm actually a pretty calm guy by default when I'm not competing. I don't know my heart rate. I would guess it's still way higher than for other people's resting heart rate, like compared to theirs. But I don't feel unwell or anything like that. Um, I don't have nosebleeds, for example, with like high blood pressure, stuff like that. I don't tend to faint unless people try to take blood from me. I recently went to take to get some test results, regarding like they took blood from me, and yeah, I don't like needles. That's my weakness.
Who likes
Uh,
needles?
well, I am very uh like not afraid, but like it gets to me, like I get close to fainting. Like I'm very lightheaded when that happens. But other than that, I'm pretty chill most of the time. I don't really get aggressive. I'm calm, and it's just how it is when I'm competing in Quake. My heart rate goes up, and I do feel the adrenaline rushing through me. I just don't really show it outwards, but inside I'm like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, you know. So, uh, yeah. So my point is, I am very familiar and comfortable playing in a LAN environment. I actually prefer it compared to online because it has many benefits. For example, the ping, and that you have to perform uh, under fair circumstances. Like everyone has the same PC, everyone is playing from the event, everyone is in the same room. You have no advantages or disadvantages. You just have to sit down and play your best and then see what the result is going to be like. And then there's also like a crowd in front of you cheering, which like that part I don't really like as much. I prefer the competing part, but when I do win the match, it is nice that I get cheered on. People are like happy for my success and all that. I always am grateful for that. But in general, as I said in the very beginning, I don't really like in the middle of the being in the middle of the attention. So it makes me nervous to be in front of a crowd. And even when I'm streaming, and I know that there are like 150, 200, whatever, however many people watching me, I get nervous, and I even though I know that they are just there to hang out and chill and watch me play, I still feel a little bit like judged. Oh, if I make a mistake, oh, if I die here, oh, if I lose this match, you know, like it's the end of the world or anything like or something like that. But I don't know. I guess I'm just that kind of a person that gets nervous about these things.
Yeah, yeah, no problem at all. That's just if that's how it is, then that's how it is, and I'm happy that you're like sharing that because it's very insightful to hear. Because like you said, uh, for me, you will always have an extremely methodical and calm player. And I remember in London when you were playing CNC, right? I was standing there watching. Um, and yeah, it was like during the match and during halftime and stuff. You could see CNC was like CNC is he's a good fucking player, but it's interesting how different players treat their nervosity in different ways. So he was like sitting there like you could see that he was a little nervous, whereas you just sat like this
Yeah.
and you were like looking
I
at
do
your
sit
phone
like
and
that.
stuff.
Yeah, I do sit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny in a way that you also brought up that I was looking at my phone because I tend to play like Tetris or Nonogram or stuff like that, like chill, just thinking games to warm up a little bit mentally to focus. Because while I'm doing that, I'm actually thinking about the game, the matchup, the map, the characters, stuff like that. But yeah, I don't really like warming up in a way of, oh, I have to grind the game right now before the event, because then I burn out more so. Uh, I do prepare for the events, but when I'm at the event, I just want to be relaxed. And so I sit in a comfortable position, like you illustrated, and then I just occupy my mind until the match begins. And funny thing is about this is that back in when was it 2018 I think in Lucca, Italy, the Italian Esports Open that I managed to win. During that tournament, there was like a background stage area where you could warm up. There were like PCs set up. You could sit down, practice, and all that. I didn't do that at all. Like everyone else was grinding the game, being really nervous, just practicing, asking each other, "Do you want to prepare for this match? Do you want to do that?" Blah blah blah. And I was just sitting in front of the main stage in the crowd, being busy on my phone playing like Space Attack, whatever it's called. So, and then Garpy and Nigel came up to me asking like, "Why don't you go and prepare?" And I was just like, "I feel prepared. I'm just waiting for my turn to play." And I don't mean it in a egoistic way of like, oh, I don't need practice or training or whatever. I'm just trying to explain that for me to be in my best shape, I need to prepare prior the event, and then at the event, I just need to be in the right mindset. Otherwise, I either like grind too much of the game and burn out, or I just like panic too much about my upcoming match if I don't occupy my mind and I chill and relax and I sit down and I play nervously. So instead I just try to be in my comfort zone even though I am preparing for an event that is very important. I just try to, take it easy, sit down, take a deep breath, relax, think through what's gonna happen, and then when it comes that I have to play, I'll just sit down with the right mindset and try to do my best.
Yeah.
And that's how I operate.
Yeah, it's everybody has a different way of preparing, I suppose. Some people like to grind and prepare and warm up, and some people don't. But it's very insightful anyway, because yeah, we are all different people, and like that was also an interesting part about going to London. You could see everybody's routines, or not entirely, but you could see how many people prepared and how they yeah, also just seeing them play. Like it was nice that you could, because we didn't have a crowd or anything, but it was just for us. Like we were there attending and stuff, but it was still interesting to stand behind people and just see how they play. Because like you say, everyone operates differently, and yeah. But it's cool. It's cool. It's very very insightful response. Absolutely. Um, I just wanted to ask a quick thing because the World Championships that you managed to qualify to back in 2017, you finished top 16. I think 9 to 16, which is, that's it's a good placement, but it was definitely not up there on the top. And then you went to Denver to DreamHack, right? And
Yeah.
you won that event. So
Yes.
how much how long time was it between these two events? And why do you think it was such a huge difference? Like you finished top 16 and then all of a sudden you just win the same year.
I think it was within 3 months,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. Well, for example, I lost to Rafa at that QuakeCon event, but I was very close to beating him. I just lacked the experience and decision making that I needed for beating him. And so because I lacked, he actually made a comeback at the very last second and then beat me. But it was certainly an experience to learn from. It still bothers me to this day. I'm still kind of salty about it, of course. I wish it was different. Um, I wish it had happened differently, but it is what it is. Um, and then Denver, it was um, a weird chain of events because Garpi and I, and Dewey as well, back when he was playing for Maestro, we went to Denver a few days prior the event, and then we boot camped in a gaming cafe. It was called actually Clutch Gaming Cafe, I think, or Clutch Gaming Arena, something like that. It was Clutch in the name. There was Clutch in the name for sure. Um, and so we prepared. But the problem was there was a major update coming out for Quake, which completely changed the meta. Because at QuakeCon, the main weapon was LG, and by Denver, it was nerfed in a way that it wasn't really registering hits anymore. So it was just better to use different weapons instead for higher damage output per second. And but in QuakeCon, the LG was not just registering better, but also was broken because you could wiggle around the mouse and it was kind of stuck uh, on the opponent. I don't know how to explain it properly. It was called the Wiggle LG, if you're familiar. I don't know if you've heard of it before.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. So many people, instead of aiming properly, they were just like doing this with the mouse, and it was still hitting actually way better than if you were to aim properly. But that got nerfed, and people had to adjust. And because the LG was nerfed, all of a sudden the character pool was changed as well. The meta changed on which characters to play as. And by Denver, Doom was in the meta, for example, whereas before it was more Anarchy and Swordlag and Nyx oriented. At Denver, they were still good picks, but Doom was also in the poll amongst the best champions to play as, and so people had to adapt. And some people have it easy to do that. Other people have difficulties doing that. I myself, I think I'm good at adapting. So I pretty quickly I figured out the game style I wanted to play, um, and I practiced it during that boot camp a few days before the event. So by the event, I was very familiar with how to play the current game. Um, and because of the practice and preparation, I was in good shape as well. So I just played at the event and I did my best, and it turns out that I managed to win it. But it wasn't easy. I still lost to Rafa in group stages, I believe. But I did get out of the group into the main bracket, and then I had to beat a few people, and then I had to meet Dewey in the semifinals, which was very difficult for me because Dewey had a unique play style and a unique champion pool. He played clutch. I think he was one of the first ones to play clutch very efficiently. and I didn't really have any experience encountering a clutch, and I had to figure it out on the way, and it costed me a few lives, a few rounds, maybe even a map. I don't exactly remember the scores. I know it was very close, like down to the last champion. Um, but yeah, so it was a very tough match for me, even though like Dewey was not considered one of the best. He still played such a unique way that I just didn't really know a counter for it, and I had to figure it out on the way, while I was actually already playing the match. And thanks to me being good at adapting, I was just good enough at it to be able to figure it out and win the match by one character. Um, and so that's how I got into the grand final. And on the other end, it was Garpy from the other semifinals. And because Garpy and I we practiced a lot against each other, I was more prepared on how to encounter him, what to do against him. Because with Dewey, he was from NA, so we didn't really play that much up until a few days before the event. But of course, he was not giving away his uh, best cards against me. So, but with Garpy, I was more aware of what's gonna happen, how it's gonna play out, what to expect from him, how to play against it, stuff like that. So it was more easy for me to play against Garpy than Dewey, and then I managed to win the event. Um, but it was certainly not a walk in the park, like that whole event. As I said, I had lost matches. I had very close outcomes that just turned out in my favor. And then in the end, I just pushed some extra, like I pushed myself some more, and then it was enough for me to win the event. But it was certainly tough.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Always tough, I suppose, but in the end you managed to win it. Um, yeah, okay. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, that obviously that was 2017, and then 2018, 2019 came, and then 2019 came, and then QPL was announced, and you were invited. Uh, you didn't have to qualify; you were actually invited. What did what did QPL mean to you in terms of how your life as a Quake player was? Because um yeah, you can answer that question. Like, what did it mean to you to start playing QPL as opposed to just playing standalone events?
I was glad that there was like a full year league that would be on continuously with many stops along the way, because that was like reassuring that it's a long-term thing and not just like, oh, I'm hoping there's gonna be an event in a few months or whatever. Because like having a roadmap in front of you was like very convenient, reassuring. Like it calms people down when it comes to, oh, should I still keep competing or should I focus my attention on something else, start doing real life stuff, whatever. But having QPL was something that I was very happy about, especially because there was like finally like a ladder. Because before QPL, the only kind of way to have like a ranking of players was on what's the site called? QL rankings, QL ranks. What's it called? There's a site. Hold on. QLranks.net maybe? No, I don't remember the site.
QL stats? No.
Quake. Quake. I don't remember the name of the site. There was a site
Uh,
that keep track of people's elo based on their online and offline results. Um, I still can't remember. How can I forget that?
is it
I
is it for
visited the
Quake
site,
Champions?
not specifically, like
Oh, it's for
many
Quake.
Quake games. Yeah, I just can't remember. It was something.net, and I think it had rankings or ranks. Ah, whatever. People will know what I mean.
Yeah.
Um. Anyway, so before QPL, the only way to kind of have like a rankings was that site, and I often try to go higher and higher on the leaderboards. Um, and then when QPS started, then it was pros versus pros and see who is where, you know. So I was happy about that because I took it as a challenge to see how well I can do. And the first event was actually like that. Like literally everyone had to play everyone at that event and then have like a ranking. But the thing that I'm really bummed out about is that after the ranking, it wasn't made into a bracket. At that event, I think it was 20 people participating, and instead of making like a, let's say, top 8 from the 20 based on the results gets into a bracket kind of thing, it was just like the first in the leaderboard plays against the second, the third one plays against the fourth, stuff like that. So you do, as soon as you were like third or fourth, you had no way of winning the event itself. You didn't get a chance anymore. And even though I did really well, I think I lost 3 matches, Rafa, Deheng, and Nosfa, I remember. And I won against everyone else, so I had 16-3 win to lose ratio. I was still not in the top 2, so I didn't get to play for like in the grand final, which really bummed me out because, you know, I did really well, but just barely not good enough. Again, like with CS. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was still really good to play against everyone. I wish we had more opportunities like that at events. And then based on the results, they could make like a top 16 or top 8 bracket and then see what the rest of the event is gonna be like. I would really prefer it that way, but I know it's really hard to pull off because you have to play so many matches, like everyone against everyone. It's not really doable in like within 2 to 3 days, uh, unless you're like doing like 10 hours of uh, competition a day. But that way it would be more consistent on results, because sometimes nowadays, especially that it's online, results are so varying, and you just can't really be sure whether it would be like the same under different circumstances, with like no ping disadvantage to anyone, uh, playing in the same computers, not just from the comfort of your home, stuff like that. So I much prefer the LAN environment when it is fair for everyone, and then you just have to play and see who is better. But yeah, QPS starting was certainly something that I was very happy about, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And I am glad that I didn't have to qualify to it; that I was invited from the start. Uh, but I was also having really good results prior, so it wasn't just like luck. I had to put in the work before that in order to get there. But because I got there and I was invited from the start, I felt like accomplished. Like I was good enough in other people's eyes to be considered top 20 in the world. Because many times before that, I felt like people were thinking, oh, I'm like a one-trick pony. Like, you can abuse clutch, stuff like that. You can only play brain dead, running around with anarchy and sword lag, but you don't really know how to play the game. You just have good combat skills or whatever. But, every time the game changed and the meta changed and the champions were nerfed or buffed, or there was a new character or whatever, I tried to adapt. And then the next event, most of the time I did really well. So, there are haters out there, and I certainly have a few. They call me Retzi a lot because when I try to play slow and calculated and think through about my options, then I'm boring to watch and I'm a rat for hiding and all that. But when other pros do it, they are so smart. Oh, they are so intelligent. It's so impressive how he can be so calm and do this and that and run away. And oh, he made such a good decision. But then if I don't play slow and I run around more comfortably, more confidently, and I rely more on my aim and combat skills, then I'm just a brain dead person who doesn't know how to play the game and just makes unreasonable decisions and then just relies on his aim and blah blah blah. But when other people do it, oh, he's such a good aimer. Who is the best aimer? He, this guy, no, that guy, blah blah blah. You know, like you can never really be good enough for certain people. They will always pick on you in one way or another. So, you know, I learned to ignore that and let go of it. Of course, sometimes hurtful comments are not nice to receive and they get to me, but I try to focus on the positives because I do have a lot of people supporting me. Uh, not just my family or Maestro or my girlfriend or my friends, but people that I don't actually know, but they just follow me. They cheer for me. They like my work. They like my play style. Um, you know, for example, I've met people that were like, "I play Clutch because of you." That was very heartwarming for me.
Yeah.
So I try to focus on those people because I would just ruin myself mentally if I didn't, if I was focusing on the hate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a matter of filtering it out, I suppose. And that's the life of a pro gamer. There's always going to be someone who who doesn't like what you're doing. Like you said,
Yeah.
you just can't get away from it. But yeah.
And also, regarding this, I just remembered something. Um, After Denver, there were a few events where I failed really hard um, because of myself. Because, like with this hate kind of thing, my mentality wasn't the right, my approach. And what I mean by that is I made a few friends during the first few events of Quake Champions, like for example Sparty or Strengths and some other people. And whenever I had to play against them, I had a hard time playing seriously, giving it my all, because they were my friends. And it took me quite a long time and a few failed events to realize that it doesn't matter who you play against, it's a player. You can still like the person behind it when the match ends, but during the match, you're just playing against another player and you have to beat him. And at first, however stupid it may sound, whenever I played against a friend and they fragged me, I was happy for them that they are successful instead of, trying to be like, dude, you have to win. Don't die against them. It's nice that they are your friends, but just don't die. It's like you shouldn't be happy that they are successful against you because you are receiving the bad end of it all. So get your shit together and beat them. But I couldn't get myself to it. I don't know. Like I made friends and I was like so happy about it, and they were like doing well, and oh, they got so far. Oh, now they have to face me. Oh, they fragged me. That's so good for them. I'm so glad they are. I'm so happy for their success and all that. And then meanwhile, I just lost matches left and right, and I'm like, the fuck is wrong with me? So I don't know. I needed to get this part of my head sorted out for sure. And when I did, it was a good thing. It's not like I'm not friends with them anymore. It's just that I treat it differently. We are friends, but we are also competing against each other. So
Yeah.
it might be just like race specific problem. I don't know if other people face this issue before or not, but I went through this weird phase. I have no idea why, but yeah, it wasn't healthy for my career.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you learned how to, to filter that out at least, and just just focus on the game. But yeah, I've never heard of anything like that. I remember when I was playing Counter Strike, I was just always just pissed when my friends killed me. Like when we played against each other, I was just mad because I always thought that I was better than them. But yeah, I guess you have a big heart, Racy. I guess you have a very big heart.
I was also very dumb. Huh, I
Yeah,
guess I learned
yeah,
from it, I hope.
yeah. Of course, of course. Yeah, you always learn from that stuff. But yeah, very nice to hear. And I wanted to leave Quake a little bit, just like not talk about inside the game, and also talk about how your life is outside of Quake, because as far as I've understood everything correctly, you play full time. You don't do anything else on the side. Is that correct?
Yes, Quake is where my income is from.
Yeah. So how does a normal day look for you? Uh, if you want to share that.
Oh, well, I'm probably the worst person to ask this because it's embarrassing to admit, but I'm very, very lazy. Like, you have no idea. I wake up in the afternoon. I don't do anything all day. I don't even get myself to play Quake and practice. And I have been uh, avoiding streaming for God knows how long, probably a few months now. I don't know. Feels like that. And I know I should be better at it. I know I should be practicing, scheduling, playing sessions against others, and I should be streaming more, and I should be more active on social media and all that. But I don't know what's wrong with me. I guess I'm just not meant for that part of being an esports player. But that's no excuse because it should be my job. You know, I should be doing these things. But I have a really hard time getting myself to do them. I don't really know why. I'm at the moment I'm like having a mental block. I've been trying to get myself to stream for a few weeks now, and I just can't get myself to do it. I have a PC next to me set up for streaming. I bought myself a I got myself a microphone, like a table microphone, a good quality one. Um, Everything is ready. I have a PC to play on. I have good internet. I just need to press on the start button and I just can't get myself to do it. And I have no good reason as to why other than me being lazy and I'm just, I guess, not committed enough. Um, I don't know. Like I know for sure that it is my fault and then there's something wrong with me, maybe mentally. I don't know. Uh, this like regarding this, but I have a really tough time getting myself to be more active and do what I need to do. And I'm actually very surprised that I'm still in Maestro because they should have, they've been like nudging me every now and then, do it, do it, do it, crazy. Uh, it's just I'm having a tough time with it. Um, yeah. So my day looks like I wake up in the afternoon. I don't do shit all day. I play every now and then, this and that, like Quake, maybe a few ranked, or maybe like a best of three against Xanaku or Garpy. I've been ignoring Wenger.
Why?
I don't know. He's been asking me to practice. I just never replied to him. I don't
Oh,
know
okay.
why. Um, Sometimes I play Apex and I hang out with my girlfriend. We play this together, or we play other games like Minecraft, or I don't know. I watch TV, some like movies or series I start, or an anime, or just hang out on YouTube and just click one video after the other. I don't know. I don't do anything meaningful all day, basically. I'm just rotting away, really. It's kind of pathetic, but that's what it is with me at the moment. Uh, but I guess I'm also a little bit like not necessarily depressed. Maybe I am. I don't know. But like as I mentioned, my girlfriend lives in Hungary, so I go back and forth a lot. And like I have my career here in the UK and Maestro, but I have my like real life in Hungary with my girlfriend and my family. And she has dogs. I love dogs. I really fucking like dogs. Like I just I don't know what it is with me. That's one of the things that I do enjoy about life, having a pet and caring for them, playing with them, and just they are so lovely and generous creatures, and they are always there, to cheer you up, to hang out with you, to play with you, to just be nearby you, and that's good enough for them. And then you feed them, and they are so happy about it, and just I don't know, it's I guess other people are like that with kids. I'm like that with dogs. I don't know. Point is, real life stuff of me. Like if you split me in half, the real life part is in Hungary. the career and maestro and other stuff is here in the UK, so I'm kind of split, and I always go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it's so tiring, and I hate traveling, especially alone. I'm always so grumpy, and I don't like it. I would really like to merge the two things into two, together, and not have to like travel all the time. And whenever I'm in Hungary, I am kind of handicapped when it comes to competing in Quake because there the internet is not the best, and the PC is also kind of weird because even though it's high end, I still have stuttering issues. So like playing Quake from there, I can never be at 100%. But of course, people won't be able to see or tell that. But I just know inside, and it's eating me up. And whenever I have to compete while in Hungary, I'm just kind of like salty because I know that I'm already, uh, having held back by circumstances that I can't control. Um, so yeah, I'm a little bit like all over the place. I need to find a way to sort this out. I am working on it, but the situation is not the easiest because at the moment it's not like I can just leave the UK because then I'll lose my status because I am in the pre-settled status for applying for citizenship. Um, it's a long process. It's 5 years of pre-settled status, and then another year for applying after the settled status is there for citizenship or something like that. So, and I've been only here for like 1.5 to 2 years, over 2 years now, I think. Um, so there's still a long way to go. And if I leave the UK for longer than half a year per year, then I'll lose my status. So it's not like I can just move to Hungary and move in with my girlfriend. But at the same time, she can also not come here because Brexit is making things very difficult and complicated. So we can't get her to have the same status as I do. So it's like, you know, it's tough for me at the moment that way. But I'm trying to do my best. Just keep at it, and maybe eventually we'll find a solution. But yeah, in general, I'm very lazy, and yeah, I mentally I'm not strong in many ways. Like I get in like hit a brick wall very often. I tend to collapse after a loss. Like if I lose a match in QPL that I shouldn't be losing because I'm like I should be doing better. Not because my opponent should not beat me because they are not good, but because I should be doing better than how I've been doing. Like lately, I've been struggling to time items, for example, which used to be something that I was very good at not long ago, but because I guess I stopped practicing seriously and I just play ranked and I just run around and there's no really um, any backlash if I don't do well in ranked, then it doesn't really matter. So I don't take it as seriously. So I like don't time items and I just play by feel, and that's just not good enough when you want to be the best player in the world. And so I've been struggling with that, and then I blame it on myself because I should know better. I should do better, but I still can't get myself to do better. So yeah, uh, I had better times in my career where I was doing better, uh, both mentally and result wise. Uh, but I just guess I'll have to keep going, and then maybe eventually I'll sort everything out, and I'll be in the right mindset, and everything is gonna click. Hmm, I don't know, but it is what it is for now.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll find a solution in the end. Just you just gotta keep working. That's just how it is. But like you say, life is full of ups and downs. You can't always be on prime, I suppose. But yeah, but I still appreciate that you shared all of that with me and obviously everyone who's gonna watch this as well, because it is
Yeah,
interesting. Because one of the reasons why I do this is also because we we like people know a lot about Racy, but what do they know about you? Well, they know about how you play in the game, like what's like your signature styles and stuff. They don't know much about you as a person, and that's why I wanted to do this project, where I interview people because you know,
Yeah.
if you can have more, if you can learn more about the person behind the player, I think that can be very meaningful. It's good for the scene, probably. I hope, and it's also just interesting. Like that's the only reason I do it. It's just interesting, you know, because I want to basically.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, I
I yeah,
guess you're very much right. Many people, they all they see is Razy when they watch me. They don't see Adrian.
yeah.
Um, and I'm actually not sure if I said too much or not. I usually don't really talk about private stuff and real life stuff because when I'm streaming and playing, that's Razy doing that, not Adrian. But Adrian is also me, and I got carried away, I guess. But yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know if I said things that I shouldn't have. I hope I haven't. Maybe it was a little bit too much info about me. We'll see. We'll see how people will react. Maybe I'll be made fun of.
No, not at all, not at all. Like I said, it's good. It's good to be open. The first two interviews, I've they've also shared personal stuff.
Mm,
Seneca also shared a lot about his mental state and how he was also battling with things, and yeah, Garpy as well. And it was just met with a lot of support because, like I said, people support. They support when they support Racy, they also support Adrian. You know what I mean? And so honestly, it's not a problem at all. Like that you shared that stuff. I think it's just good. So it's just gonna be positive. But like I said, once again, I appreciate it so much that you take your time to talk about it. Um, so I just wanted to ask one more thing, and that is like, cause for me it's always been interesting when you come, because you also come from a Counter Strike background, and in Counter Strike, there's a lot of tournaments, there's a lot of cups, there's a lot of opportunities for players, even if it's extremely hard to break out. But that's because the competition is so huge, like it's such a huge player base, so it's hard to make it internationally. But in Counter Strike, being a professional player, you play a lot. You know, you play. There are up periods when you play. Uh, you know, three tournaments in a month, and you play like three big tournaments that you travel to, and so on, and you play online cups, you practice a lot. Whereas I feel like in Quake, it's we have less events. You know, we have less LAN events now, and how uh, what are your future plans regarding like being a professional player? Because is it a sustainable? Do you think it's a sustainable future to have, if any, like for all the people who want to become professional Quake players? Um, yeah, I kind of lost the plot there, but for everyone who wants to become professional Quake players, like, is it a good career, if you know what I mean? Like, do you think Quake has a bright future?
uh, in the beginning, when Quake Champions first took off, there were events, like at least one event like every 3 months, sometimes even more, and it was really good. And there was like the income from the prize winnings was higher because right now there's just basically QPL more or less, apart from very small prize pool online tournaments. So competing back then was more fruitful than nowadays. But I'm just happy that I still get to compete in Quake. It's still a thing. I can still do it after about 5 years now. Um, I don't really know much about the future of Quake. I'm hoping that there's always gonna be Quake or some kind of Quake, whether it's Quake Champions or something like that. You know how from Quake 3 Arena it was like Quake Live and Quake 4, and then after that it was Quake Champions. So I'm just hoping that there's gonna be always like an Arena FPS Quake-ish, Quake Live, Quake-like game that I get to compete in because this is what I'm good at. I also, of course, enjoy competing in CS. I used to, but that's just way different. And Quake is just something that I really do enjoy. Like, for example, the how action packed it is. In CS, it is so many times so slow like such long rounds, nothing happening. Everyone is just standing still, waiting for like a cue, or okay, now we execute the tactic and then we attack this bomb site or whatever. But in Quake, it's mostly always action. Very, very few times people standing still, waiting, not doing anything. So it's like the constant adrenaline rush in Quake is something that I fell in love with, and I just love doing it. That's why I especially like fast characters like Anarchy, Sorlag, and Clutch, because it's just like so much is happening at the same time. It's just so much fun. And so, I'm just really hoping that there's always gonna be something that gives me back this feeling, and I get to compete in it and make a living out of it. And I don't really know if it's gonna like be the case or not. I will keep competing in Quake for as long as I can, and when I can't, I'll see. I'll have a look at what options I have. But I intend on competing, on keeping being an esport player uh, for at least the near future. I don't really have any other plans nor qualifications to do something else. Um, but yeah, I would be very happy if Quake became more popular, not just the community grew bigger or where there are more events, but also like to have more money in it, so we Quake players can actually focus on keep playing Quake and competing with each other and provide very entertaining matches for the viewers. Because right now I feel like many people in QPL can't solely focus on Quake because they have to do other things outside of Quake in order to make a living. Um, because nowadays there are just not enough events, not big enough prize pools for most people. Like unless you are at the top few percentage, you won't really have enough long term. Um, so if you are in that uh, if you have that you don't have, just barely don't have enough, and then you have to shift your focus away from Quake, then you will no longer be as good as you could be in Quake. So you'll gradually get worse and worse, and then you'll have less and less income, and then eventually it will just die away with everyone else as well. So that's kind of sad, because I know that many people, if they were able to only focus on Quake and not be worried about can they make a living out of it, and they could just practice as much as they want, they don't have any distractions, they would do so well. Whereas nowadays, many people are inactive or unable to compete because they have to do something else. They just can't allow themselves to sit down and practice hours and hours a day in order to get good results and make a living out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone's dreaming about Quake becoming bigger because it would mean so much. Like if you compare it to this Counter-Strike scene, for example. I keep comparing everything
Yeah.
to Counter-Strike. It's the only game I know though, outside of Quake. But I mean, yeah, back in the days, in 2005, maybe there was like 15 people in Sweden who could live full time from playing. Now there's probably like, I don't know, over 100, and that's just in Sweden. And like internationally, it's very easy to. It's not very easy, but you don't have to be in the tier one scene to play Counter-Strike full time. You can actually get a reasonable salary if you play tier two as well. Yeah, whereas as you say in Quake, there's like how many people in Quake actually play full time? There's like 5 or 6 people. I don't know, like not
Mm.
everyone in QPL are playing. Um, so yeah, it's a big difference, absolutely. But yeah,
Like I know that Sparty, for example, works a lot and barely plays any Quake,
yeah, yeah,
and he's in QPL. Um, Garpy as well. He's not in QPL, but he was. But he can't have his full focus. Like he has a job
yeah.
outside of Quake. So like he doesn't really play as much as maybe he would like to. Because I know that he likes to compete. He likes to attend events and participate and then just compete and be in the zone.
Yeah.
But he's also like having a lot of distractions away from Quake.
Yeah, yeah, it's how it is. And it's funny that you mentioned Sparty because he's Swedish and we've been talking a little bit. And he, yeah, he said one of the reasons why he said he always wanted to have a job on the side because Quake was never sustainable. Like not even when he was playing for Fnatic back in Quake Live. Uh, yeah, it was good, but he said, it was always like it was never good enough, to live full time off of it. So yeah, like you say, most players have something else on the side. Which also, of course, affects the scene in many ways. It affects the skill level. It affects everything. But yeah,
Yes, exactly.
let's hope that it gets bigger. Absolutely, let's do that. Um, let's see here. We've been speaking for quite some time, but time flies by. But one last thing I wanted to ask you before we round off, and you can also add if there's anything you want to talk about, you can add that after this. But obviously, I was not gonna skip out on asking you about the Hungarian Esports Player award that you received. If that's
Yeah.
something that you want to talk about, because yeah, can you just like tell me a little about it, like what happened and everything?
Oh man. Um, I would love to tell you and the viewers everything in detail, but I feel like it's gonna sound like as if I'm ungrateful and like I'm just like there's like nothing is good enough for me or anything or stuff like that. But I guess why not? Why not? It might be like a long story if that's okay.
Yeah, that's cool. Cool with me.
Okay. So how to even start? The Hungarian scene, as I mentioned in the beginning of the interview, it is small and very large portion of it is very toxic. And unfortunately, the toxic people are the at the top because they get it like they get themselves to be at the top, not necessarily because of their skill but because of their personality. They fight for their right, like whatever. Like they don't necessarily earn it by results, but because they form the community around themselves in order to make themselves look great. So for many years, people who were unworthy of receiving certain awards got awarded because they were popular. They were not necessarily the best at certain categories, but they were more popular than the players that were better than them. So for many years, I was overshadowed by these people. By these people, I was always like there as a mention, there as a, like candidate or like a honorable mention or whatever. But everyone was just going apeshit crazy about certain people in the scene that were just like very toxic, very disgusting people. Like the ones that I said, like, oh, they never admit to their wrongs. They always point at other people and they always replace people in the team saying, oh, it's gonna make the difference. Now we're gonna be strong. Where in reality, if they stick together with the original lineup and focus on sorting out the issues and improving and and practicing, they would actually get to where they want to be, but they are just not committed enough in that aspect. They just want to go the short route and then just immediately like swap people and think that it's gonna solve all their problems. So I turned away from that community a long time ago, and I don't regret that. I miss playing CS competitively. I miss the good friends I made along the way, the good teammates, but there were just so much toxicity in that community that it was just not something that I wanted to be a part of. I'm just not made that way. I wouldn't be able to behave that way and treat people the way they do and then think highly of myself like I'm a king or whatever. Um, but because they are the way uh, they are looked at as the best of the best or whatever that Hungary can offer. But recently, since I started going big in Quake, it was no longer really possible to look past me. They had to acknowledge my results. But what I'm salty about really is even to this day, just because I'm playing Quake, which is not so popular, I still get put on the same level as these not even pro level Hungarian CS players. So, for example, I had to share an award for the best FPS player of the year with someone who put nothing down on the table result wise. He might be playing for a big name team, and I don't mean to get anything away from him, but result wise, if you try to be objective, not look at popularity or the name of the game, just results, he was nowhere near me, but I still had to share an award with him. And that, to me, feels like as if I was not appreciated, you know? Like I was still given some kind of award just to shut me up or whatever, but nobody really gives a fuck, you know? I went there, I received it, I smiled for the pictures, more or less. But I felt like this is a shit show and it's just so meaningless, you know? I still appreciate some of the people in that community and the people that make these awards. Um, I have really good connections with certain organizers when it comes to these award events, and I like them. But the outcome of some of these awards, like who won and blah blah blah, is just it feels like how to even say I feel unappreciated by the country that I represent. And to this day in Quake, as a profile picture, I have my country selected for avatar, the Hungarian flag, because, I'm Hungarian and I wouldn't necessarily say I'm proud to be Hungarian and yay, go Hungary and all that, but I am Hungarian and I want it to be big, make it big that I'm Hungarian. Like back in CS, that's why I stuck to Hungarian people. That was my dream to make a name for ourselves. And so to this day, I represent Hungary in a way, but I still feel like as if Hungary is like I'm not even sure like ashamed to have me. It's like they just no matter how well I do throughout the year, it's like meaningless. It's like nothing. I did like absolutely fuck all, in their eyes. Feels like they don't even know me, even though I'm one of the most successful Hungarian esport player ever. Not many people even know me. So whenever there's like a live stream of these awards, and then there's like categories, and I'm mentioned in one, and then there's another guy that comes from like a more popular game, but he didn't do fuck all year, like result wise. He's still like, oh, everyone is like, oh, that guy's from CS, he should win. Who are these other people? Blah blah blah. Get them away. Just give this award to this guy. It's like, the fuck? Why do I even bother? So yeah, that's basically the background of that whole award ceremony and all that. And it's been like that for years. So like last year I also shared an award. The year before or something like that, there was like two categories. Like there are multiple categories and one person can be in multiple categories and win the award in multiple categories. So for example, I could have won Esport Player of the Year and the FPS category as well, but they just decided to give me one and then give the FPS category to someone else because, oh, he's a newcomer, a big name in the CS community. He didn't really have many results, but he got signed for an org, and oh, that's a big thing for Hungary, and yay, you go, whoever you are, blah 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 blah. And it's just like they don't award you based on your results. It's not objective at all. It's very corrupt actually, and I really dislike that mentality. I really hate it. Like I despise this approach because it's not right. If you are a FPS player of the year, it should be because of your results, not because of your personality or how popular you are. That has nothing to do with what you can do in the game. It's just I just hate the way it is. It feels meaningless. It's just I'm I wouldn't necessarily say I'm salty. I'm disappointed is what I am. I'm disappointed in Hungary regarding that. And there was also a gala not long ago in January that I attended. There were two nominees for for esports player of the year, because there's this sports award every year that is not really focused on esports but just sports, but because esport is also kind of a like a category subcategory in sports, it also gets featured, but it's mainly focused on like soccer, well, not soccer, football, um, whatever else, just real life normal sports, not esports. But esports also gets included. So in that category, there were two nominates. One was me, and the other guy was who was driving a simulator like racing game, you know. And because uh, the whole thing was streamed live on TV and all that, I guess it was more suitable for the viewers to watch someone race in a car in a simulation than shoot at people and they explode into chunks of bloody gore, mess, and all that. So even though result wise I was deserving of the win, the other guy won it. And it's just so unfair. And I feel so like I can't even, I'm so disappointed in that, because no matter how much I try, how hard I try, how much I do and put down on the table, and how well I do throughout the year and how many good results I have, it will just never be good enough because I'm not popular enough. Quake is not popular enough, and I'm doing something that they cannot sell. So this whole gala and award ceremony was just for show. You know, it doesn't feel like you get appreciated for what you do and what you do for like representing your country and all that. It felt more like as if like uh e-penis comparison, like who has a bigger one. It's like they just like, oh, we get to make this ceremony, this gala, this award ceremony even. We can do that. Yes, it's so mighty and majestic, and oh, you have to come here dressed nicely, and oh, you have to be so official and professional and give interviews and smile and nod and receive your award and give a speech of how grateful you are and all that. But in reality, it's just so fucking pathetic and meaningless, and just I'm so like I'm beyond disappointed in all of this. It is what it is.
Yeah, honestly, man, I can understand it. I can understand completely what you mean because from what you tell, yeah, it's not about skill. It's not about any of that. It's just about like, it's not about accomplishment. It's just about putting on a show. And I feel like that's the case with many award thingies nowadays, TV shows, just in general, it doesn't have to be esports.
I I think people in the comments are gonna be like, after watching this, it's just business, crazy. Get over it. I get it. It is
Yeah,
business,
yeah,
but it is corrupt, and it's just not right,
no,
and it feels wrong to accept that it is the way it is. And I do get hurt by it because I feel unappreciated, and it's just I
yeah,
don't like the way it is. Because then don't call it esport player of the year or FPS player of the year if it is not based on that.
no, yeah, I know what you mean. It's just how it is. Yeah, business as usual, or not business as usual, but like, yeah, when it's money involved, when someone's been sponsoring it, someone wants to like bring forward a certain thing, they're like paying this ceremony thing or paying the gala to bring forward a certain thing. They want to promote esports. Yeah, what do they want to promote? Someone racing a car or someone, like you said, just like playing an extremely gory game by the looks of it. But I feel like that was the same problem with Counter Strike and but yeah, in Quake in general, like it's a gory game, but we don't play it because we like shooting people so that blood comes out, like so that with their bodies just splash all over. We play it because it's the tactical side of it, and that's what should be highlighted. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It must be frustrating, and I understand why you don't put that much what's it called? Why you don't value?
Emphasis.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's just.
yeah,
But I also want to point out that I don't mean to take anything away from the people that won the award,
no,
because they've been doing their best. It's not their fault,
no,
that the system is corrupt. And I'm also not trying to say that, oh, I should be winning everything. I done so much and blah blah blah. because I had good results, I had bad results, and sometimes this, sometimes that. But like objectively, I this year and like I mean this award for the last year, I've done better than who won it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so
yeah. It just goes to show that Quake is pretty secluded from the rest of esports title. It's like it doesn't receive enough attention, and that's why it's. I always thought about it as like it's we are in our own little bubble, so to say. It's you almost know everyone in the scene, and everybody knows each other, and it's just like we're keeping it alive, you know. And obviously QPL, Bethesda, and PGL is doing a good job with keeping QPL alive, which is sort of a good uh, ground to stand on for Quake, because without it, it wouldn't have much, you know. But yeah, it is secluded, and it really goes to show. But thanks anyway for sharing. It was interesting to hear.
yeah, I don't really mean to complain so much and whine about things. I actually mostly keep to myself, and I don't really share this aspect of certain things and what goes on behind the scene kind of things with the community or with my viewers, or I don't, you know, rant on it or rant about it on social media. But and I'm still not really sure if I should have said it or not. I feel a little bit uneasy about it, but if you ask about it, it is better if I explain the whole picture. It did happen, and it happened this way, and it's no secret. But I just don't really like complaining. I don't really wanna, whine about stuff and feel like and seem ungrateful and all that. But I do still have like a certain feeling about these things.
Yeah, no, I think you phrased it perfectly. And also, it's not whining because I asked. It's not like you're sitting and just spewing out stuff randomly. Like I asked you, and that's why you responded. And that's what these interviews are for. So don't worry about it, man. It's all good. Um, so we're kind of we've been talking for like I think over 1.5 hours. I'm not really keeping track of the time, but I think we're coming up to like close to 2 hours. Uh,
That's okay.
yeah,
Do you have any more questions?
no, I don't.
I can be here all day. As I said, I have nothing to do.
Yeah, no, me neither, mate. Me neither. So like, when you described how your day looks, I was like, yeah, that sounds kind of cool in a certain way, you know, just like not having anything you have to do. I can understand that it's also mentally challenging and whatnot, but yeah. Anyway, I don't have anything to do either. But either way, um, I think it's about time to round out because usually they are supposed to be like below 2 hours. But it's been
Okay.
it's been awesome to talk, and I just wanted to finish because I've been doing this with Garpi and with Seneku, and I think it's a good way um, to finish the whole thing off. So because you've already shared a lot of insight today, but I feel like if there's anything that you want to say to the people who look up to you and the people who want to become top Quake players, what do you think? Like, what is your best tip to them? And this might be a hard question to answer just like that, but yeah, what is your best tip to reaching the point where you reached? You know?
I guess if I look back on my journey from where I started to where I am at the moment, I guess one of the most important things are gonna be like, don't give up. You're gonna fail a lot, and it's not gonna be easy. It's gonna be actually really, really hard, and you'll have to be committed. You'll have to grind, even if you don't want to. Even if you're burned out, you have to keep at it and just improve. Focus on your mistakes, which you're gonna make a lot, and sometimes it's gonna cost you big time. But you're just gonna have to keep back at it, and even if you don't succeed, you're gonna have to get back up on your feet and just keep moving forward, because eventually, if you are um, persistent enough, you'll improve, you'll get there, you'll make it big. But you have to have a certain attitude in order to achieve it, and it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be quick. It might not even happen because not everyone is guaranteed to achieve their dreams, sadly. But if you are approaching it the best way you can, then you have better chances. Uh, I'll be rooting for you. And if you are a Quake player and you dream of becoming a pro, I'll be waiting for you. And I'm looking forward to compete against you in the future. Um, I'll welcome you with open arms, and you know, I'll help if you ask for like tips or feedback or practice. Um, I don't really know what else to say. I guess better safe than sorry. Keep that in mind. It helped me a lot whenever I'm competing. Just whenever you play during a match, just have that lingering around in your head. Don't take too big of risks. Um, and I guess just have fun, because I love competing. That's why I'm doing it. It's not a torture for me. Grinding is torture sometimes, and I burn out. But competing is fun, and that's why I do it. That's why I wanna keep doing it. That's why I have enjoyment out of it. And I do well partially because uh, I'm 100% at it when I'm doing it. And so if you have fun and you want to do this, keep at it, and don't forget to not have fun. If if you can set up some challenges in front of you, doesn't have to be big challenge. Just like, let's say, oh, I want to reach this elo rating, or oh, I want to be able to beat this guy, or oh, I want to be able to learn this character, or whatever. Just set up some goals, some challenges, and try to overcome them. And every time you do, you're already a better player than you were a day before. And then eventually you'll get to a level that you are happy with. I
Okay.
guess that's what I have to say.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. And yeah, like you said, having fun and running on that is pretty important. Like as long as you have a passion for something, I feel like that's what most of the Quake community consists of anyway. It's all about passion because it hasn't always been sustainable to play. It's not so much money all the time and not that much competition all the time, but people still stick at it and because we all love it and yeah, yeah. One of the things that because I keep talking about Iron Fist in London, but it was a huge thing for me to meet everyone, and you really understood like when I came there and I shook everybody's hand and stuff. It was like you could just feel that. Everyone who was there, they were just passionate about the game. That's why we're there. That's why people came from all over the world. People came even from Brazil and Argentina to go to London and play, and yeah, passion is the key, I suppose. Like passion and just loving what you do because you shouldn't force yourself to do something. It's like you say, grinding is not always fun, but you still love competing. Otherwise,
Yes.
otherwise you wouldn't do it. So yeah, yeah, good insight. Absolutely. Some nice finishing words. Is there anything that you feel like you've forgotten to say or like throughout the interview?
I guess I do want to mention, and not because it's like a scripted speech or whatever, but I do want to mention that, as I said, I didn't exactly have the easiest time getting to where I am at the moment. I had a lot of support from many people, whether it's family, friends, my org behind me, uh, whatever else, whoever else. And I just want to say thank you to everyone because apart from all the haters, I have experienced a lot of kindness as well from people. Um, I have been helped to keep pushing forward quite a lot of times, and I don't. I'm not the easiest when it comes to like the mental part of this job, I guess. Um, and many people helped me to put my head to the right place. And I've been supported by family. They were never against me having this as my passion and my job. They always watch my matches. and cheer for me. They congratulate me. When I fail, they are there for me to cheer me up. And same goes for my org. They always believe in me. Garpy and Nigel and Aaron and everyone else, you know. I made a lot of good friends. For example, Marco Wenger, the Pineapple Boy. Um, and so, you know, I'm very grateful for all that. And I have a lot of friends that I'm not really like friends with, but like as in people that I often encounter online. Like they watch my streams or they um, show up in the chat when I'm playing QPL and they just cheer for me. They are just there to support me, to say a few nice words, to show that they want me to do well. Um, I'd like to also thank my girlfriend for being there for me. She's also supporting me with all this. She also like it's a brand new thing for her, esports, I mean, and she's been very nice about all of this. She's been there at Iron Fist actually. I'm pretty sure you've met her
Yeah, I
or
have.
at least seen her. Um, so yeah, I'm very happy that I'm surrounded by the people that I am. They are awesome. I'm very happy and grateful for them. It's been a huge help, and it hasn't been the easiest for them either to deal with me. I know that, but they have, and it's a huge thing, and I'm eternally grateful for that. So thank you for everyone that's been supporting me in any way. I'll try to keep doing my best. Hopefully, I'll get myself to stream again. No promises though, but I will. I will eventually. Um, and yeah, and I just hope that you guys will keep watching my matches, and it will be entertaining for you, and you'll enjoy yourself. And I'll try to do my best and have really good results and represent everyone that's been there for me.
Yeah, some nice finishing words, and yeah, lots of gratitude from Racy in the end there, and but that's how it is. Like it does take a lot to reach the top, and getting external support is extremely important. So I'm really happy to hear that. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna have some. I don't really have much finishing words. Like, I just want to say thank you to you for choosing. Because when I asked you, I wasn't sure you wanted to be up for it. Because it's always. I said that when I spoke to Garpy as well. I'm fairly new to the scene. I think most people know me now because I've been to London and everything. But still, like, do these pro players want to speak to me? Like, I'm just a no-namer compared to them. But yeah, you decided to do it, and I'm happy about it. I hopefully, like, lots of people are gonna watch this, and you know, if you think about the previous episodes, and they received a lot of good comments, and I'm sure this one will as well. So I'm also,
um,
yeah, go ahead.
Many people look at us as pro players only, but
Yeah,
we are also only human. You know, so
exactly.
you know it also like I'm very up for or things like this. Even though, as I said in the beginning, I'm not really the type of person for interviews and podcasts and being on camera and in front of a crowd and all that. But you know, I'm I'm happy to do these things. You know, I'm glad you asked me, and of course I'm here. Um, but yeah, it's not like you're a no name and I'm an almighty pro and whatever. You know, we are just
I know.
people talking,
Yeah,
sharing our passion for Quake. It's all good.
yeah, I know what you mean. But still, like, it's just how it is sometimes in my head, because I'm also, but I'm also sometimes not super like confident in my own abilities and stuff. Like, yeah, sometimes you have periods when you don't think too good about yourself and so on. But these kind of things definitely help to feel more attached to the scene. So yeah, all in all, thank you for everyone who's been watching so far, and thank you for watching this episode. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, for the like the fifth time, thank you, Adrian, for doing this. I think this is gonna be about like 2 hours, even more. So it's gonna be a lot of good stuff for people to watch. Uh, Turn it on if you're having problems sleeping, or if you're like cooking. You can just listen to the sound. You can watch the whole thing. You know, do whatever. But I hope that I hope that people will find some pleasure watching this. Uh, and yeah, I don't have anyone else to thank. It was just this project is just me. So, but thanks to CNC and Kirill, so CNC and Kirill is the same person, but thanks to CNC and Dramis, my players, and thanks to my org, and that's about it. Any last words from you, Adrian?
Uh, I don't really know. I guess I said most of what I wanted.
Yeah.
Just, thank you for thinking about asking me for this. I had a good time, and I hope that the people that actually sat through this were like entertained. Well, I don't know if I said like certain things that were like maybe a little bit too much info from me. Maybe I have, but I mean, you know, I am who I am. It's a part of me, and if you want to get to know me better, that comes with it. But yeah, I had a good time. Thank you for having me here, and hope you guys enjoyed this podcast interview kind of thing. What is it exactly? Is it a podcast or is it an interview?
It's more
Which one is it?
more like an interview.
Okay,
Yeah, not much of a
all right,
podcast because podcasts maybe podcasts also have cameras, but yeah, it's more like an interview. But
okay,
it's becoming more and more just a chat. That's why the series is called just a Discord chat with, because it's just like, yeah, just chilling, hanging out, relaxed.
okay.
So yeah, but yeah, anyway, thank you so much, and see you. Gonna try to upload one every month, so see you guys next month, and yeah, that's about it. So yeah, bye bye.
All right. See you guys. Bye bye.